What did you lose when the room changed and no one noticed it had changed? When the days kept moving, but something stayed behind, unnamed? Was it a person, a future, a version of yourself, or just a sense of ground? These questions arrive at night and do not ask permission. They sit quietly, unanswered, and wait without demanding resolution. Their presence fills the silence more than any answer could. Uncertainty does not announce itself as a problem to be solved. It simply remains, like an object left on a table long after its owner left. You may circle it with thoughts or avoid it completely. Either way, it stays. There is no instruction attached, no timeline, no promise that understanding will arrive if you wait correctly. Uncertainty is allowed to exist here without being explained away or justified tonight. In this space, Jesus is not introduced as an answer. He is present as someone who notices what is missing, not to replace it, not to name it, not to fix it, just to sit nearby while the wait remains. His presence does not resolve the questions. It keeps them company, the way another quiet breathing can share a dark room without asking the night to change its shape slowly. There is no explanation offered for why loss happens this way. No reason is suggested. The absence is not dressed up as growth or purpose. It is simply acknowledged as real. Something was here. Now it is not. That fact carries weight, and it does not need to be redeemed to be taken seriously. Jesus does not rush past that fact or demand reframing. He remains with it, without commentary. You might wonder if staying with loss means giving up. That question is left unanswered here. Sitting beside what is gone is not surrender or strength. It is presence. Jesus is described here as staying when others move on, when conversations change, when the world expects progress. He does not pressure movement. He keeps pace with stillness, allowing the night to remain heavy without correcting it or hurrying dawn forward. For those unsure what they believe anymore, this presence does not demand agreement. Doubt is not corrected or challenged. Confusion is not treated as failure. Jesus is near without asking you to sort anything out. The loss does not need to be explained to him. It is already known, without interrogation, without needing the right words. Silence is acceptable here, and uncertainty is allowed to stay without being forced away. Night has a way of making absence louder. Sounds thin out, distractions fall away, and what was lost takes up more space. This is where companionship matters. Jesus is not brighter than the darkness. He does not compete with it. He shares the same quiet. The weight remains heavy, but it is no longer carried entirely alone. There is no instruction to lighten it or explain it before morning arrives. Nothing here turns loss into a lesson. Nothing claims it had to happen. The missing piece is not framed as necessary. It is treated as a real subtraction. Jesus does not argue with that math. He does not balance the equation. He acknowledges what is gone and does not pretend the result feels fair. Unfairness is allowed to exist without defense or explanation tonight, and without spiritual justification offered here. Acceptance here is not peace or relief. It is the decision to stop arguing with what already is. The loss stays named. The questions stay open. Jesus stays close. No one is asked to move forward. No one is told to feel better. The night is permitted to be what it is, without being rushed. This is not closure, just a steady willingness to remain present with what remains unresolved. Jesus, knowing what you lost, does not restore it. That knowing does not change the facts. It changes the solitude. You are not required to understand this. You are not asked to agree. The loss is held in shared silence. That is all that happens here tonight. Nothing is fixed. Nothing is concluded. The weight is allowed to remain, and companionship does not leave when the questions keep breathing softly. Some losses do not have edges. They blur into routines and habits, into how you wake and how you avoid certain songs. Nothing announces them as finished. Jesus is present without trying to outline what was taken. He does not ask you to inventory memories. He notices the quiet adjustments you make to survive ordinary hours, and he stays while those adjustments keep changing without settling through nights and mornings. You may carry the thought that others recovered faster or spoke better words. Comparison arrives uninvited and sits beside you. It does not help. Jesus does not measure timelines. He does not weigh your progress. He remains with the uneven pace, with steps forward and backward, with pauses that last longer than planned, without turning them into failures or virtues. Nothing here demands improvement tonight, or performance, or resolve alone. Confusion can feel like betrayal of what you once trusted. Beliefs loosen, language thins, and certainty stops responding. This is not corrected here. Jesus does not replace lost confidence with slogans. He sits where confidence used to live. He does not ask for agreement. He shares the space where trust cracked, allowing it to remain cracked without sealing it shut. Even when time keeps passing outside the room tonight quietly. Loss sometimes removes language before it removes pain. You may struggle to describe what changed. That struggle is not a problem here. Jesus does not demand articulation. He does not require testimony. He listens to the pauses between sentences. He recognizes what cannot be formed clearly. Staying with you, he lets the unsaid remain unsaid, without pushing it toward explanation or resolution or tidy endings tonight in this shared dark. There may be anger here, or numbness, or nothing distinct at all. None of it is ranked. Jesus does not prefer one response. He does not soften the edge or amplify it. He stays steady while feelings shift or disappear. The loss does not need the correct emotional shape. It is allowed to be inconsistent, flat, sharp, or absent without correction during long nights and quiet mornings after everything changed. When others expect recovery, the expectation itself can feel heavy. You may sense pressure to narrate improvement. That pressure is not honored here. Jesus does not ask for updates. He does not track milestones. He remains with the slow middle where nothing resolves. Time passes, but nothing completes. This in-between is not treated as temporary or wrong. It is simply inhabited together without deadlines or conclusions tonight, or expectations imposed. Memory can return without warning, carrying weight you thought you set down. It arrives intact. Jesus does not ask you to be stronger than memory. He does not suggest forgetting. He stays present while the past presses in. Nothing is reframed. The return is allowed. The wait is allowed. There is no demand to carry it differently than you already do when nights reopen old rooms again without warning repeatedly. You might wish for a sign that something is resolved. That wish is understandable. It is not answered here. Jesus does not provide signals. He does not announce transitions. He remains during the ongoingness. The loss stays unfinished. Acceptance here is not peace. It is staying without protest. It is allowing the night to continue without insisting it end differently or transform into meaning by morning for anyone involved there. Companionship does not erase distance. It shares it. Jesus, knowing what you lost, does not rebuild it. He does not stand where it once stood. He stands beside you, facing the same absence. There is no attempt to fill the space. The space is respected. Staying becomes the only action. Nothing else is required, promised, or withheld in this quiet arrangement through hours that refuse conclusions or comforting explanations tonight. This ends without resolution. The loss remains named. The questions remain open. Jesus remains present. That is all. There is no closing statement. The night continues. You are not asked to move on. You are not told what this means. Acceptance here is simply staying. Breathing continues. The weight stays. Companionship stays. Nothing else needs to happen before silence takes over again, without explanation or improvement promised for anyone listening.